Carlton, whoop, there we go. Hello, everyone. Richard Carlton here. Welcome to Awesome Monday. I'm the creator of fmtraining.tv, where we create great on-demand video courses as well as live stream videos. So you're finding us today. It's 1 o'clock, and this is recorded. We are broadcasting in 1080 to YouTube, to Twitch, hold on, and Discord. And so like 3, which is like 2 more than my brain can handle at one time. So if you're interested in joining the Discord conversation, our ACE assistant, Postulate 5, better known as Margs the Kitty, will be assisting me today in our broadcast excellence, right? So there we go. 2 things. 1, today's broadcast is going to be about basic developer, this action here, solidly in this course here. If Candido shows up and starts talking smack, which he's probably here, he's being stealthy, starts talking smack about virtual lists, I'm going to reach to the internet and slap him, okay? So once again, this is basic stuff. I got special technology here. I can press the button and my hand will come right through your screen and right across the face, smack, smack. So don't force me to get violent, okay? The other thing is, real quick as a reminder, this broadcast, here we go, ready? We need a radio announcer voice, right? Ready? Here we go. This broadcast is sponsored by fmtraining.tv. If you want to help support this channel and you value all the hard work that these people do, even if you don't value it, you should definitely buy the training, right? You could get the complete training bundle, or you can get the training bundle if you already have FileMaker Pro 19. For more information, email support@rcconsulting.com or visit our website at fmtraining.tv. All right, there's your perfunctory question. Commercial. All right, so beginning and basic. So last week we started a conversation where we created this really ugly layout, right? And so what we were doing is we were doing the Acme bomb disposal quarterly financial statements. And so we did an import. We were talking about the body parts, etc. today. So we're going to talk today about another body part, arm, leg, whatever. They call layout parts, but I just call them body parts because it just seems to be what comes up in my mind. There is technically a body part over here on the left. What we did, let me go back to the beginning of last week. So we talked about, here is a basic table, a brand new file with, it has one table, and these are the fields that are in it. I'm going to go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my face over here, and then I'm going to zoom in, and then you can see better over here. And so these are the fields. And then I did an import of 5,000 sample records. These are just bogus make-believe records, so we would have data. So if I go back over here, I'm going to use keyboard shortcuts, my fingers. Once again, Command or Control B with my finger, my support side hand, not my firing side hand, as we say, or my trigger side and mouse hand. Not supposed to say firing side hand on TV, right? Probably not, right? So support side hand, not firing side hand. And so this is always doing keyboard shortcuts, Command-Shift-D, Command-Shift-S, Command-B, Command-L, all that stuff. So I'm going to go Command B, Control or Command B, and I'm back to browse mode. I have 5,000 records actually in here. And so what we did is we said, well, we can come up with a basic report right here. This is a list view. Once again, in the last broadcast, we covered the three ways of viewing data in the FileMaker. It's a form view, a list view, or Claris's attempt to pretend they're Excel, which is a table view. Which I can use for a really quick ad hoc dirty maintenance if I'm trying to triage a bug or something like that. But so I actually use this quite a bit. But if you're going to need to really for example, a lot of times I will have a label that's really a big long label, and it just takes all the space up. Well, over here you end up with a field that's really long like this, right? And you're like, damn, because it's a really long label. And if you smash it down, then you can't read the label, right? That one's really cuddly and cute and small. But what if it said, flag if this person's last name is active and they're, part from the Western United States and not Europe? You could have a field that labeled like that. It won't fit, so you create a list view. Then you can actually stack the labels, so you could actually have it like this. Last name, if they are not Russian and not from Brazil. That makes a really long ass label. So what you do is you grab the handles, you smash it down like this is one of the techniques, and at least you have something that looks like that. So, okay, so that's why I would use a list view, or if your customers want to play with it a little bit. Here's the rub, is that we get into a situation where we want to, if we come back over to this list view right here, What we did is on this other report over here, we came to the conclusion. What I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify. I'm going to zoom it back to like normal size. I'm going to simplify the report back to like what do we would consider a normal roar here. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this go back to like a normal size. That was we were talking about collapsible body parts, right? Which is pretty cool. All right, so now we have this report, right? And so what's interesting about this report, if I zoom in, whoop, that's a little bit too much zooming, is that you've got a total down here at the bottom. Now the totals can show up in the last training. The totals will show up. Technically, you could put them in the header, you could put them in the footer, so they'll be at the top or bottom of each page and potentially just at the bottom of the last page. Headers and footers are in every page, whether you print it or it's a PDF. People say, I don't need to do that because I don't use paper anymore. Okay, yeah, but you use PDFs, right? Or you're just high, whatever. But everyone still does this. So what you have to do is you have the field at the bottom. If you only want it at the very, very bottom of the last page, what you end up doing is you use what they call a grand trailing summary, which is this body part right here. It's like a footer that only shows up after all the records are displayed. So like a footer, header in the footer, this is a header, this is a footer. No matter what, if I go to one other mode, we talk about browse, find, layout. There is preview mode, Command or Control U with your, as in uniform. You come over here, this is the way the paper looks. So there's a footer. Now watch the footer over here. If I go over here, the footer's still here. It has the same amount. So on every page, the footer is there, okay? But on the bottom of the last page, you will have the grand trailing summary. So basically everything we have totals. The totals cover everything of the found set, and they are at the bottoms of the pages, right? So I have a found set right now, I think, of 30 records. So let's widen this out. And so what I decided to do is that you have a boss that wants to see a report, and they want to see it by state. It's a real easy one, okay? So by state. And it could be by company. It could be by all sorts of different, and I don't know if we have a question. I get
no, they're just talking.
Christian is talking about, yeah, with Nathan. All right, so and so the idea is that, and once again, I don't see Ken anywhere, so I don't get to do any more balloon jokes. It's really kind of too bad. So the idea is that you want to total by a subsection, right? And you don't want to wait to the bottom of the page, because what you want to do is see all the Californias together and have them out, or you want to see all the, like a certain month. The month ones are a little interesting. It seems like it's an obvious, easy thing, but I can help you learn that a little faster. Let's just start with the state. So let's say that we grouped, so if you want to say, well, give me all the reports and I want to see the totals for each state, you could go, okay, boss, no problem. I'm in California, I'm going to start with California. Here's California, do it, print it. Okay, there's a printout. Now, find again, I want Arizona, AZ, right? Arizona, okay? And then you do that one. You got to do this 50 times or whatever it is, right? You could do this 50 times, it's going to suck. And so what you want to do is, see, we get taken off course here really easy. I'm very flighty today. We want a way of displaying it all at one time on one found set and have it all displayed. And so the idea is that if you go back to layout mode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the top nav because it's confusing people. I'm going to get rid of the bottom nav. Once again, those are elements that you would use if you were using this as an interface, especially on a mobile device. So we have this header at the top, a really big giant header. Then we have a small header here. And then what we want to do is we really want to have quarterly totals or totals by state. So what you can do is you go over here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit again. I'm going to go layouts. I'm going to say, really it's kind of confusing because part setup is part of the layout setup, but they're two different tabs. Really they should be kind of one thing. So part setup are the parts of the layout, and then the layout setup is everything else that's not a part, right? Once again, I sit here and I'm struggling for words to explain why things happen the way they do, and I have no idea. Although it's been like this for decades with an S. Probably, since I started in FileMaker Pro 2 in 1990. It had subsummaries were in there. So I do create right here, and you want a subsummary. Now, a lot of these body parts you can only have one of in your solution. You can only have one body, and since the body is already there, it's removed. So if the item is grayed out, it means it's already on the layout that you're looking at. And And these are options that have to do with that part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, give me the subsummary part when sorted by. So this part will only become visible in browse mode or preview mode if you're sorted by a specific item. So we say sort by state. Okay. And then the other option is that you can have the subsummary display above or below the related, basically the related body. And you'll see this what makes sense. So restart number, page break, restart numbering. How come? Oh, okay. It asked me the question. I was looking for this. But what happened is I thought it would be down here because I know there's an option. So when the subsummary displays, so the way this is going to work. Well, let me. I don't see if I can bring my face over here a little bit. Whoop, still not there. Try a little bit closer. All right. So the way this works, right? It's going to display all the bodies. It's going to, so when it gets to like California or New York, say New York, it's going to say you got 20 New York records. It's going to go body, body, body for each record of New York. And then the subsummary can go, I can display below the body or I can display above the body, right? You can do one or the other. You could create a second subsummary that would display on the other side. It kind of be kind of handy for that because sometimes you lose track of the list is so big. But let's just say for the sake of argument, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to display it at the bottom. So you say OK, and you say I want it to display below. That is the default. This can be handy here if you're, yeah, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I'll say below. I say done. So now the subsummary is right here. If I go to browse mode, we don't see it. It's this body, 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 body. If I zoom back out a little bit here, and I do a show all, right? Command J, show all records. So we got all these different states, right? So what do we say? It won't show up unless you're sorted by the state. So if I sort by the state, now a shortcut, you can go sort up here. You can go say hit sort here. You can go up here under records and say sort here. Or kind of a cool thing in FileMaker, you go to the field that you want to sort on, you just right click it, and then you say sort ascending or descending. It doesn't really matter which way. Now that I do this, now you start seeing these spaces right here. So if I go to the top, let's go to the top. There's Arkansas. Okay, no, that's Alaska there. That's actually Alaska. You come down. We got a lot of records. And then there's the space right there, right? So if I click on this, the first 56 records are Alaska. And then there's a subsummary right there. And you're like, well, that's pretty cool. You just put a space in there. At least visually it looks a little better, right? But what we can do, we go back to layout mode. And then I can take the summary field that we created. And what's interesting about a summary field is that they do different things based upon the body part they're in. They behave differently. It's really kind of, once again, FileMaker in most situations cares about context, right? It's context. So I'm going to line these up so they look a little nicer. Normally it's kind of, you do something like that. And I'm going to go back to browse mode. And what you're going to see, now you see it's still at the bottom, right? And we're at the top up here, right? And so we start scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down, and eventually we get to the bottom of that. There is a subsummary for Alaska, and that is broke. Oh, no, it's not broke. There's no, okay, I threw me off. I said $5,575. What the hell? It needs to be formatted with currency with the change on there. Like this is, see, that's the currency. See, that's 99,000. That's 5.5 million, right? So just for simplicity, once again, reminding us how to format things, I'm going to click on all three of these, make sure they are, all four of these, make sure they're formatted the same way. I'm going to come over here, layout mode, right side pane, and then of the four panels, so this is the pane. That's a pane. There are 3 panels in there. There are 4 panels over here. I'm going to click on the right panel, which is the data panel. If you hover over and don't move, it'll pop over. It says data panel. Come down to the bottom. You say, I want a currency. I want to display. Well, let's get rid of the change. So there's no change on there at all. Just whole dollars. So that 1,000 separator. Once again, I'm going to use US dollars. And so now 99,000. These are all like big orders down here. And then you get the bottom and you get 5.5 million. You get to Alabama, 319,000. Then over here you got Arkansas, 1.7 million. Arizona, right? So you get the idea. So that's a subsummary. Now you could say, well, it'd be better if it reminded me what state we were in. So you can do that. What it's going to do is that if I want to display You can put the state right here, like a field right here, and you could bring it over here. Then you could make it really big. So you have the state. You say it's okay, but then what you do is you do something like make it like really beefy, right? So I do a keyboard. I do these. There is a keyboard shortcut, and I can't show my fingers doing this on the Mac. I have to be a damn near contortionist. Margaret, grab the camera over here and show this. This is take it off of here and aim it down there, and just that. It's loose. Just take it, aim it down there. Watch this. So I don't know if they can see that. Let me see over here. This is right. There we go. So watch. You just watch that over there. So I have to press the Shift, Option, and Command with that as a contortion, and then I can go up and down. Hang on, I'm off the thing now. I'm going to come back over here so you can see that. Click on that. And then I can actually have it zoom up or down. That's like one of those like super obscure things in FileMaker because you have to be a finger contortionist to get this. So you got those fingers there, and then that finger over there, you're not catching that. It's the greater than or less than right there. So it's these three right here. Right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Where is that at there? There's those two on the bottom, and then my thumb right there on the Shift key. It's a real piece of work. But then you have to hit the greater than or less than over here like that. So hopefully that makes sense. So it's the, Margaret, hold it right there for me. Okay. We're looking at the greater than Shift key, so it's these keys right here. So then I go up and down, down, up, and then I've got these three keys on the left hammered over here. So it's the Shift key and then those two together there. And on Windows, I'm sure it's some other similarly contorted, screwed up thing. So thank you very much. I got that. So anyway, lots of fun right there. So there is your keyboard shortcut fancy thing that you can do. So the other thing people will do is that they'll say, well, I want to point out the fact that we're in a different state. So if I go to browse mode, of course, now you see this. We scroll down and you got the name there, right? And you could remove the label around it, etc. All right, so what you can do is you go back to layout mode. You can create another body part. I'm going to go to layouts. I'm going to say part setup. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so you can see this. So we have the parts here. I say create, give me another subsummary. I could sort by different things, like say we could do a state in here. You could also have like a month or a date or a year. I'm going to do state again. This time it's going to say I'm going to put it above, which is great. So then I come down here. So this one will be above. This one will be below. I'm going to option drag, hold on my option finger or whatever it is on the Windows side, and it makes a copy of it, which is great. I don't need the label right there. I can come over here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. I'm going to go to the style indicator over here, and I'm going to make the lines over here. No lines around those fields there, which would be great. If I go back to browse mode, and you come back over here. What's neat about this now is at the top, it tells you where you're starting. So now you're starting down this way. And then down below, you're doing it that way. And then, so the other thing I will do to make it a little more visual sometimes, I'm a very visual person, is I'm going to make it a little bit taller here. Move this down. You could come up, yeah, I think you could do this a couple different ways. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a, does a box work that way? Do you have control? Yeah, you do. So can you turn the bottom off a box? I'm pretty sure you can. Let me turn that up to like a dark color. Make sure that works the way I think. And you'll see what I'm up to here. Okay, yeah, this is really awesome. So what I like to do is to show people which way a conversation is going. I will do something like this, right? It's really on a report. It's very visual. It's really, frankly, pretty cool. Damn it, the screen's so big I can't barely control it. There it is. It's like scrolling around real fast. And then I'm going to say arrange, send to back. So now what we have is you have that, and then I'm going to do copy, paste. I'm going to put another one down here. I'll make this one a little bit bigger down here. This one here, I'm going to make it on the top instead. And I think what you're going to find is that visually, it makes it very visually appealing. Arrange, send to back. So this is the way when things get a little ugly, I try to like clarify for people what's going on. So if I go to browse mode, I go to the top. What you see is it's like, and you could put a line here that continue, but it kind of like encompasses it, right? It's like almost like a box or a basket, so it boxes it around the side. And so if you come down here, if I zoom back out to normal size and I zoom this back, let me, can I do, there we go. So there's that. So it's a little bit on the small side, but if you come down here, then you get the bottom, it says, all right, this one goes up and this one goes down. So what you could do also with them is you could say, make it a little more rounded so they're not so gnarly. You could say, give me a 5, even like a 10 radius, right? 10 radius and a 2-point line, right? And then, although the radius is going to be funky on the, well, you get the point. It's going to kind of curl around a little bit. Might be too much, but you could play with this. You make it a little more visual. It'll appear to do a little bit of rounding where we don't want it to round. But if you come down here, you see that kind of, yeah, see, it needs to go straight up like that. So it needs to round right here and not round at the bottom. So you have to turn the rounding off, right? So if you want to have it round correctly, you come over here, you set the rounding, you just do the rounding on that side, on that one, and this one it's on like that. So we're just applying the rounding to certain spots. So you go browse mode. Yeah, look at that. Look how nice that looks. So there you go. So that's, it allows you to, and then you could put a line in there. See how that section then it connects together? It's like one box, okay? So cool things you can do with subsummaries, okay? Questions along the way? David on Twitch, you got questions over here. In Windows, you use Control. Oh, he's telling me you use Control, right, Shift, left. Okay, great. All right, that's good for those windows.
Like we're sharing the layout order and the sort order are not dependent on each other. That's from Nate Schneider.
Nathan Schneider, layout order and sort order, layout order, sort order, layout order. You mean the layout order like the layouts up here? I guess. Sort order, layout order, sort order. Yeah, so I'm not clear. The layouts are in this order over here. If you want to manage your layouts, there is a file under manage under layouts over here. I don't use it too often unless I have a lot of overhaul to do. So you can reorganize the layouts here. But once again, layouts are different than records. Does everyone understand the difference between layouts and records? I mean, if you don't, please ask. I'm not going to make fun of you like I will with Ken. David and Nathan are typing layout parts with sort order, layout part with sort order. Yeah, so what happens, what's interesting about this, that's a really good point. I make it in my paid video course. Why you should buy the paid video course. Is that the body, okay, so understand the body represents a real thing. Okay, the body represents a record. Every body that displays is displaying because there is a real record in FileMaker, okay? The header and the footer and the subsummary are artificial constructs. They don't exist anywhere. They are fabricated out of blue sky. Understand that if you're in the header up here, and I bring a field up here, okay, in the header, okay, and I just bring that field up there, and I come down here to the, I do the same thing down here into, say, like the footer, okay. The header and footer don't exist. So the body makes sense because intuitively, there's the body, it gets repeated, people understand that. The header and the footer are manufactured poof. A computer just generates them out. There's not a real data behind it. So so what the header and the footer will try to do is that it will take data from basically the record closest to it, if that makes sense. So the header will take the top data from the top body record, and the footer will take data from the last record on the found set. So if we go to browse mode right now, I'm going to go to the top. We can see that if right here, the header and the footer, and I assume the grand trailing summary too, if we went that far with it, is going to display the data. I would say, I guess, I don't know, maybe we'll find out together, right? If I go to the very last record, let's see. So if I'm on this dude, okay, so the header and footer work way, the grand trailing and the leading trailing summaries work a different way, and the so on the subsummary, this is for the state of Wyoming. So it starts here, it's grabbing that record right there close to it, okay? The bottom record is grabbing the bottom, so whatever the subsummary is, it gets the closest relevant piece record, right? Because it's an artificial construct. The header and footer grab the record you have selected. So watch that one and watch that one up there. As I jump, they change. The grand trailing summary grabs the, if I sort, I say unsort, and I go to the very end. it grabs the so it works the trailing summaries and the leading summaries grab the closest records. The subsummaries and these summaries, these body parts that occur at the end of the pages, grab the closest record. The header and the footer grab whatever record you've selected on. Somewhere along the line, because most of the time, to be honest with you, normal humans don't do what I've just done. What normally happens if you're building a report and you want some dynamic data up here, you put a global up there, right? You put a global merge field or global whatever, global field, global variable. You use globals, that way you can force in there what you want in there for the report. So if you write a script, the way this normally, the reason this is funny, I never would use it this way because at the top I would say Acme disposal report. And so the script is running a script. It's going to go to the layout. It's going to do the find. It's going to do the sort. And then I'm going to load these global set field into this global. Set field, set field, set field. Those are at the top because they're globals. It doesn't matter what record you're on or which record you might have touched. It always displays the correct information. It's been that way since FileMaker 2, right? So understand that if you put a real field up here, you better test it and make sure that it does what you want it to do, right? So anyway. Maybe summary not good or sorted correctly. No, it's sorted. Listen. So the problem is I'm demoing something that I would not normally do in real life. Subsummaries are great. Trailing summaries are great. But if I'm building a header up here and I want to put a field up here, like let's talk about the field, I would put G underscore. I'd say report title. I say, I go and create it. Then I say options. I say storage. I say global storage, right? And so what I would normally do is I would come over here and that's the name of the company, Acme Bomb Disposable. We take our job very seriously. I come over here and I would say, probably do an insert a merge field. And then I would just say, here's the merge field, right? And so the only problem is I got to populate it. So, and I can't really type into it from here very easily. Oh, it's on there. I guess I could do it that way. So here's the report. So I could say quarter for 2021 or something like that, right? And so I populate it in there. If you go to the header, you don't see the title header. You have to go to preview mode for that. So a couple of the body parts don't show up when you're in and don't behave exactly from browse mode to preview or print, right? Preview and print are the same things. So I'm not going to print it. I'm just going to do preview. Browse mode, you don't see the title header, but I'm going to go like that. Now you see the title of it. And there's my label I put in there, right? So if I turn, let me see, page setup, let me turn the paper sideways, make it 80%. So there you go. So you can see that's how you would normally title it in real life. You put a global up there and do it that way. That way, no matter what record you're on or whatever's going on, you precisely control the titling of the report. Okay? Pretty cool. Nathan Schneider's typing away.
We do have a question from Jeffrey Smith.
Jeffrey Smith. YouTube. Jeffrey Smith. Can you quickly explain grand summaries? Yeah, so we covered this the other day. So the grand trailing, so here's the deal. The grand trailing summary allows you to put the total on the bottom of the last page, right? So the grand trailing summary in this case is purple, okay? When you set it up, I mean, I recommend you go back and watch the video from last week on this. It's already in, I'm pretty sure it's already up here. Do I already have it? Hang on, let's just check this. Hey, here's my copy of version 24 training. Let's cover this. We go select course, live streams last week. There it is right there. It's already here, ready to go. If I was a real turd, I would just sit here and watch my own video, right? Okay, right. So Jeff asked a question.
All the way to senior engineer. We were
all right. Here we go.
Of items.
There we go, Jeff.
You can only have a header on there once. You can only have a at the bottom, and you're like, well, that's really
all right. Jeff's covered. All right, so no, I'm just being, but it's there literally. Whenever someone asks me a question, it's almost always in a video somewhere. And that's a fresh video, so we don't want him to feel bad. So Jeff, we don't feel bad, just because we were all here and you weren't. So So yeah, basically it's the idea that you get totals. It only shows up at the bottom page. There's a similar thing on the title headers, kind of the same thing. It shows up at the top of the first page, right? Listen, a header and footer would be fine if you only had one page of output, but a header and footer are on each page. And so, yeah, so you want a total number at the bottom of the last page, etc. And along the way, if you want totals along the way, you do those with subsummaries, right? Normally, headers and footers, you don't put totals in them, generally. I'm just doing it here so you can see how that affects things. I think subsummaries, that state underneath under summary is a date. You would expect the report to display the state buffs were different than sorting state. If you sort date and then state, the report is different. Yeah, so Nathan just added a level of complexity to the conversation. So you could do more subsummaries in here. I'm trying not to get too terribly crazy with it, but you can you can mix dates in here and stuff with that, and then have other subsummaries. A lot of times you'll have a layout with like 20 subsummaries in it, right? Like subsummary for this and this and this and this. So you have one report layout that can do different things. Based upon how you sort the data, it will do different things, right? So again, you want to play with it and test it. I think for beginners, if you can do subsummaries like this, and then once again, if you don't sort by the field, it won't show up. So if once again, if I'm browse mode right now, and we're not sorted, notice the subsummary isn't there. As soon as I sort by the state, it magically turns on. That's a really important walkaway. Now it's on. And then if I say sort, or I just say sort and I say unsort, watch down there. It's like Harry Potter, poof, it's gone. And so you can actually mix these things up quite a bit and do all sorts of pretty intricate stuff with it. It's one of the better capabilities, the ad hoc. People love the reporting because they can throw together reports, build reports in here. Once you do kind of build a report and it looks the way it's supposed to, then you really need to write the script that will reproduce it for you. So the script is going to generate the found set, generate the sort state, go to the layout, then either kick it to PDF or show it to you or print it to a printer, whatever you want to do, and then come back. I haven't really discussed the concept, but generally you never just run reports off the layout you're on, because you build a layout to be visually nice on a device, on a screen. You build reports to be visually nice on a PDF or on a printout. Those two things are generally incompatible. Technically, there's no reason you can't do both. You could be in here, working in here, and then just print this out. That's how everyone starts. But then when you have to give the report to someone and you don't want to look like a total goofball, right? And you want to look kind of like nice and professional, right? Then you actually you write the script that it goes you to a specific report space layout and then comes back. It's the same like when we do, like if you go to FM starting point, for example. So if I go to FM starting point here, somewhere is a copy of FM, should be FM here under name. It's FM starting point. Maybe it's not in here. Broadcast files about lane design. Somewhere I had a copy of, oh, there it is. It's right here. It's in the wrong file. So here's FM starting point. We open this up. You're on contacts, or you're on, it's like invoices, right? And so then you want to print the invoice. Technically, you could print this screen right here. It's and say that we have this information here. It's like other customer information. You don't want that. So I'm going to go to home. I'm going to go to the preferences here. I'm going to go to developer. I'm going to turn on navigation. There we go. I want to go back from navigation tab. I want to go to basic navigation, which I prefer. Go back to dashboard. If I go to invoices, it turns off all the fancy stuff. So all we are is looking at this screen only contains the information. There's no master detail over here, okay? And you could print this out and give it to a customer without a doubt. You go print, and you could say, make it a PDF, show details. I'm going to turn it to current record, turn it sideways, do all that kind of stuff. Make a PDF, save as a PDF, do that, blah, 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 blah. You can name it, save it, do all that kind of thing. It kicks it out, and here's your invoice. You give them an invoice, and there it is. Does it work? Yeah, technically great. Is it beautiful? Not so much. So what you do is the same idea with a report is an invoice. You just come over. You can follow this process in here, but we say, print it out or print it, right? And you say print it, and you say, hey, let's print it. Now it looks like it just jumped to the print command, but I'm pretty sure it's doing more than that. You say print, and you print it, and then it's trying to print it to my printer. I could say PDF to desktop, it'd be the same kind of job. Here's this one. So I pressed that button and basically did a print job, but then how come I have this really nice looking invoice over here and this one looks totally different? This is great for paper or whatever. This one's great for screen. Two different things. So the script takes us from here. It goes to the invoice. It goes to the, what I call invoice, and I put the word print on it. Big, hairy letters. Print, 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 print. And that allows me to select the one. It tells me it's not for visual usage, right? Makes sense. These are all designed for, look how ugly that is. You really want someone to like be in here and use that? So, no. Big tip. If you're, once again, today's beginner day, so you should know about this concept as well. Who does? Colleen Rose. Hey, Colleen, how are you? Can you use subsummaries to get counts on response gathering value list? Gathering using a value list. Yeah, you can definitely do counts. Like if you wanted to like know how many people were in there. Okay, here's the way I would do it. Okay, this is going to bring up one of those things that half the people here, the senior people, are going to be like, I wouldn't do it that way, right? Okay, so let me, because I do training, I'm going to explain to Colleen so it makes lots of sense, right? So let's just do this. I'm going to close starting point. I'm going to go back to my sample file. Okay, open the sample file. Here it is. Okay, so let's say that we want a count. Okay, so let's say that we're on this. I'm going to get rid of the header. This one here makes no sense. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. So now we're back to like this coherent deal. If I right click, I say sort ascending, I am going to get this. Now, it would be great if we could see the number of records that are in here, right? Is that, I'm assuming that's what she's asking. Let us know. Let me just show you one thing. Whenever I define a database, I do this for a couple of reasons. One, I'm a very simple person, and I don't like things like Cartesian joins, because Cartesian joins is like, it's like, if you don't, and if you understand what I mean by that, you'll understand. If you don't know what forget I mentioned the word Cartesian join. If I go to field definition, so I go File, Manage, Database. Going forward, I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut, Command-Shift-D. I'm going to create a field in here. I always create primary keys where I say like it's ID contact, right? I'll say ID contact. For lack of a better thing, I'll make it a number field. I'm going to say, I'm going to create it, and I'm going to say that it's an automatic auto enter with a serial number, and it starts at 1000, something basic. So as you create new records, they're all blank in here, but as you create a new record, it starts numbering and create a new record. So that is a kind of a fundamental item. If I go to field definitions again, I create another thing. I call it ID constant, okay? And it solves a lot of interesting little problems you run into. And you folks, if you look at starting point, you will see is a 1, a constant, right? So constant in math is a fixed thing that doesn't move around, right? So what I do is I always program it to be a 1. You can have it auto enter data as a 1. Normally you define this at the beginning. You could have it be a calculation as a 1, a stored calculation as a 1. So I say 1 there. That's an auto enter. Just for the moment, let's just make it a calculation field. Okay. Once again, I'm not starting. I'm going to change it. I say okay. It's going to be a 1. It's going to always evaluate, and it will index. So it's fast. It's always a 1. Okay. So now we have this value. This field is always a 1. Well, of course, now you start to think, you're like, well, if something is always a 1, then that allows us to start doing math, right? Which is kind of cool. So every record has a 1 in it in that field. So all we have to do is come up with a way of totaling that up, right? So what you could do is you could say, define a summary. Remember that this field over here, I don't know if Colleen, you were here, you watched the other video, the other basics, but these are basically summary fields here. Once again, we talk about not using summary fields if you're trying to build a solution with 50 people on a cloud server and you're doing this stuff in real time and you want to be really fast and you have millions of records, right? So once again, this is beginning training. Beginning training is not about making a scalable database for your whole corporation, okay? It's the basics. Once you understand this stuff, then we start to teach you the ways to make it go faster. ID constant, so I'm gonna do a summary field. I'm gonna say summary, total count. Doesn't matter what the name is. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to summary. I'm going to create. And I would say, give me the total of ID constant. Now, you could do count over here, but the ID constant can be used in a lot of different things. Because it's a 1, it could be used through portals with a sum calculation. It's super useful 100 different things. Having a 1 in every field is super useful. It's like a utility Swiss Army knife. Thank you, Margaret, for being helpful with that. It does a million different things. So I could just do a count, but I just wanted to add up all the ones. So total of all the ID constants. I say okay, and then we're going to hold on the left just for a moment. So I have a summary right here. So I'm going to say what we could do is you could get rid of the state right here. We could make it a merge field. That would be really cool. And I could say insert merge field, and I would say I would do state, and then I would say parentheses, and then I could say insert another merge field, and I could say summary of total count, like that. And then I could thread in here a very clever display, and I think this solves Colleen's problem. I'm pretty sure. So there you go. So there's Arkansas. Well, it's got a big space. Let me get rid of the big ugly space here. And I got the blank records. There's 5 blank records at the top. Notice how they box off real nice like that. Arkansas. You can put the total up there too if you want, but there it is. Arkansas 56, right? Pretty cool. So that's how we solve that basically, and then there's a lot. Once you understand what you're doing there, you can play with that. So the summary field, once again, it's based on where the summary field is being used, it takes on a different context. It does things differently. We're talking about the radio value list and buttons on Colleen. What she wants to do is do like a value list and do totals against that. I could think of half a dozen different ways of solving the problem. Let me kick it around with my team. We'll come back on that one. But yeah, I think it's a good one to talk about in terms of getting the data out. What you don't want to do is, I get this sometimes from marketing people, right? And I'm going to be very generous in the way I talk about this. They will build a database where they're like would you sort? I'll say unsort, and they'll have like a field, and they'll be having a say, and they'll say we're taking a survey of customers, and tell us what the survey is. This is Richard, or we just say it's Colleen, right, or something like that, and she tells you Colleen's whatever last name, Smith. I think it was Rose, right? Maybe that's her actually last name. So Colleen Rose, and then so Colleen writes this little, we give her a text box, right? Oh, you know, this was really wonderful, and then they did this, and then the FileMaker did this, and then they did this, but then I didn't like it so much, and then I was driving the car, and it went off a cliff, and everyone died, but it was overall a pretty good experience, thank you. And then I'll have marketing come to me and say, hey, Richard, I want you to make a amazing report that charts all this. Well, it's not Colleen wrote one paragraph, it's 100 people wrote 20 different paragraphs. You can't report on that data without like an AI or something, and we're not far enough along in the world of AI to like ascertain that. What you have to do is, okay, did you die or did you live? Yes or no. Did you enjoy the experience? Yes or no. Did you do this? Yes or no. They have to be separate fields so we can break them down. So keep in mind that reporting, when you're going to generate reports, this is a big part of the video. Once again, the paid video training, I make the big case that when you're building a database, think about what you have to come out on the other end, right? I mean, so everyone goes, if you're in business, they'll say profit, right? Like a South Park underwear gnomes. Hey, what are we going to have? We're going to have profit at the end. Okay, well, how do we get to the profit? Well, we have to sell something, and then to sell it better, we might run a report. And so what you have to do is look at the reporting and then decide how you want to capture data. You can't just capture in a text field and expect to provide numerical weight to that text field. Very important. I know this sounds strange for some of you who've been around a long time, but if you're a brand new FileMaker person, which today is about brand new FileMaker people, this happens all the time. They don't make backups. They put all the data. Like I for example, they'll have like a contact solution, right? I literally had the same customer. I mean, you told the story about the customer who had everything in the closet, and then someone broke into their closet and stole their Mac server and stole it and took it out of the building. And whoever stole it seemed to have keys to the building, which was very strange, we thought. And so wherever that went. So they had a starting point. This is literally the customer would do this. And I've actually seen this about, not lately, about 20 or 30 different times. Customer has a CRM like this. And so instead of coming down and putting a note in, what they'll do is the customer calls on the phone. I kid you not. And they'll say, oh, you have a problem with the widget wasn't delivered on time. So they'll just pick a field. And so we're in the address field, and they'll say, and say there was an address in there. Oh, I'll say customer called on today's date, talked to Phil, and is missing important package. And then the next time, so you'll actually come in here, and there'll be notes in random fields all over the place, okay? So some of you get mad. So I make people that you come to them, and they say, hey, your database is trash, and you start all over. Oh, you're just trying to get more money out of me. When you give me a database that looks like that, pretty much we got to start all over because you've totally destroyed yourself. And some of you are laughing right now. I'm telling you, this is real. This is real, real, real. So everyone, I appreciate it. And that's it for now. I'll be staying on Discord for a bit longer, but that's it. Thank you.
Guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Try to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.